Hi, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about sticks. I received quite a few emails regarding swinging heavy implements. We discussed that in our wrist conditioning video, and there was quite a bit of interest, so I wanted to talk about that. But before we get into the actual swinging, let's talk about the various lengths of sticks that are used in the various Filipino martial arts and why. The reality is that a stick is not a really great fighting implement. More often than not, it's something that we improvise from something that we had on hand at the moment. Think about it this way. No army in the world ever went to war with just a simple stick in its raw form. Those armies that used stick weapons generally augmented the stick with another device such as an axe head or a spike or shards of obsidian to give it an edge or something to make it far deadlier than just a simple stick. So knowing that, the question is, why is stick training so prevalent? And why the use of the stick? Again, it goes back to it's more than likely some type of an improvised weapon. In many cultures, you'll see a variety of sticks used for a variety of reasons, and they were usually readily available or on hand at the moment of the incident. We'll start with the longest stick first, or actually the two longest ones for the sake of this conversation. Here we have this one's slightly longer than what we regularly would refer to as a dos manos. A dos manos would be the typical walking stick length, which is generally a few inches above the distance that the space, the place where my elbow makes a 90-degree angle. A sibat is another weapon that we see. It's a spear, and it's generally going to be longer, taller than my head, so that the edge is not floating around near my face. In certain cultures, the spear is a very useful device, primarily for hunting, but in a pinch it would be a very powerful weapon. So the spear or the long staff we generally refer to as a sibat, and this would be a dos manos, and actually slightly smaller. Going down in size, the longest of the single-handed sticks would be a simple cane, a baston. And you can see if this is something that you have with you while you're walking, it could readily become a defensive implement. And finally, shorter than my baston, we have batons. And batons are generally used as a tool for some type of banging similar to a hammer. And they come in various lengths and thicknesses, but of course, again, in a pinch, this would be a pretty useful thing to have, as would a hammer or any other hand tool that you can create damage with. So the improvised weapon idea is probably why you see so much use of stick implements in training. So that's the theory behind the lengths of the sticks. Let's take a look at how we can swing an overweight implement. We'll start swinging the staff. I'm going to swing it at various levels horizontally. But when we start getting to some of the other angles, I'm going to switch over to this stick to protect our training environment. This tends to have a lot of reach, and plus I want to keep it within the frame of the camera. So when we're swinging an overweight implement or a long implement, it creates a certain amount of inertia. I don't have the benefit of being able to redirect it easily like I would with a single-handed light implement. Because here I can really change directions on a dime, because this is light enough that I can do that. My wrist could move quite a bit safely. But if this was a pipe, that's not an option. I've become a slave to the inertia created. That momentum is going to pull me over. It requires a certain degree of sensitivity to be able to use this effectively, because you got to follow where the inertia is going and then gently redirect it to where you want it to go. But generally, it will be giving you an indicator in which direction it wants to go. We also want to take advantage of gravity. There's going to be a point where you reach a neutral buoyancy, so to speak, where it's balancing, and then from there you can guide it very easily. So what I mean by this is, I can take this stick and I can swing it, and I'm allowing gravity to drive it through here. And right about this point, it starts to become, and I'm using the diving term, neutrally buoyant, because I think more people will understand that. At this point, I can start to redirect that tip a little bit more effectively. Understand that I'm not going to be able to redirect it sharply like I would with a single-handed stick. So looking at 3 levels of the horizontal blow, I'm going to let it drop in that direction and follow it, high, middle, and low. Okay, set this aside, and we'll look at the whole family of redondos. 1, 2, 3, and we have the diagonal, vertical, and on the other side. We refer to this type of striking, the quality of this strike is a redondo. Redondo being a large repeating circle. Again, you saw we can do it at various angles. We have a lot of applications with this. It's a very useful technique to have in your arsenal. And with a heavyweight implement like maybe an axe handle or a baseball bat or a steel pipe or some type of a tool, this is something very important to have in your arsenal should you ever need to use an improvised weapon for self-defense. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.